August 29, 2004, the Belgian Grand Prix. Kimi Räikkönen crosses the finish line to win the race, McLaren's first of the year. They were having a poor season, with this being the only real highlight. 3 seconds later, history would be made right behind him. Michael Schumacher finishes in second place, his 13th podium in 14 races, securing the Formula 1 world title. This is his 7th title and the 5th in a row, and while this seemed inevitable at the time, it wasn't always this way. A lot of money, effort, sacrifice, and good fortune went into building the story of a legend, along with many long, lonely nights. This is the story of one of them. August 30th, 1998, the Belgian Grand Prix, 6 years before that world title was won. This is one of the sport's greatest and most dramatic races. It was raining heavily and almost impossible to see the road ahead, and on lap 1 the inevitable happened, with 13 of the 22 drivers involved in the sport's most expensive car crash. Some would make it to the restart an hour later, but for others their day was over before it really began. Michael Schumacher was a master of the wet weather conditions, and after everything had calmed down, he started pulling away from the pack. 25 laps in, and with a 40-second lead, he came up to the slow-moving McLaren of David Coulthard. The rain was still lashing down though, reducing visibility. In the midst of the spray, Schumacher can't see Coulthard ahead of him and disaster strikes. Michael was furious and drove back to the pits on 3 wheels faster than most people could on 4. Filled with rage, he stormed into the McLaren garage, ready to pick a fight with the man who cost him victory, though the crowd of engineers from both teams stopped that from happening. It's easy to see this as the raw emotion of a dramatic sporting incident, though it's also a sign of intense pressure boiling over and years of hard work going to waste. After winning the 1994 and 1995 titles with Benetton, Michael Schumacher moved to Ferrari in 1996 with the intention of building them into a championship-winning team. Although Ferrari are the most famous name in motorsport, it had been a long time since they tasted success. After years of uncompetitive cars, political turmoil and a handful of misfortune, they had gone over 10 years without a constructors' title, and the drivers' was last won in 1979. Schumacher was to be the keystone around which the redemption arc would be formed, along with the other key staff from the Benetton team. Together they had the best driver on the grid, some of the smartest leaders in the sport, and all the money Ferrari could throw at them to succeed. They just had to put in the work. In the weeks leading up to that race in 1998, a reporter would shadow Michael at Ferrari's private test track and give us an insight into what it took to become the best in the world and the toll it was taking on the man himself. Success in Formula 1 is often defined by the resources and facilities at your disposal. Enzo Ferrari knew this and had the Fiorano circuit constructed right alongside a factory bearing his name. This was where the great cars would be born and where they would grow up, and long after Enzo's death it was Michael who would call his place home. Schumacher would spend weeks at a time here, sleeping on site in a small room, jogging the course every day and driving the car. Outside of his physio and a handful of mechanics, he was all alone, free of the attention a star like him has to bear. While many would see this as a tireless and lonely endeavour, Michael would cherish it. No Ferrari driver before him was ever given this luxury, and the lights in the room were often lit well past midnight, usually debriefing or recovering from an intensely long driving session. Building, running and developing Formula 1 cars is incredibly expensive, and in the modern era, teams only have a few days of real-world testing every year. Back in Michael's time though, it was essentially unlimited, and with Fiorano all to himself, he was determined to make the most of the opportunity. Every day he was there, he would do nothing but train and drive. If he wasn't running the latest updates and ideas from the factory floor, he was running the track himself, maintaining his fitness levels and always being ready to drive the car. On some occasions he'd work for up to 16 hours, only stopping when the track was too dark to drive on. He'd delay any meetings he had until the night time, such was the dedication to the team's future success. The hundreds of laps he'd drive every week would stack up, and combined with the race weekends he'd often do over 30,000 kilometers in a single season. For context, the 16 races of 1998 would total just over 4,800 kilometers, and even in the modern day calendar of over 20 races, the drivers would only complete about 6,500. This was the level of work and commitment that Michael Schumacher and all of the team at Ferrari felt was necessary to take them back to the top of Formula 1, and while victory was snatched away from them in the Belgian Grand Prix that year, their day would come. Michael Schumacher would ultimately finish second in the 1998 title race, taking the battle to the final round. The points lost at the Belgian Grand Prix played a key role in his defeat, though that's not to take anything away from the achievements of Mika Hakkinen and McLaren, who were equally as committed to victory. A mid-season injury would halt Schumacher's progress in 1999, though he did play a key role in securing Ferrari their first Constructors' title since 1983. Everything would finally come together in 2000 though, with Schumacher and Ferrari defeating Häkkinen and McLaren. The mission was accomplished and the floodgates were about to open. What would follow is one of the most dominant win streaks in Formula 1 history. Both Schumacher and Ferrari would win race after race and title after title, culminating in that victory at the Belgian Grand Prix in 2004, 6 years on from that fateful disaster at the same venue. Michael would go on to set almost every driver record in the sport, smashing through previous totals and only being matched by an equally legendary driver in the modern era. That driver's team also happened to be one where Schumacher himself would lay the foundations of success at the end of his career. While the points in Formula 1 are awarded on the Sunday, it's the time, effort and sacrifice behind the scenes that truly paves the way for victory. Night after night, lap after lap, Schumacher was the lonely, long-distance racing driver, quietly pushing himself and Ferrari to the limits and building a legacy that will rarely be seen again. Hey everyone, PJ here. Before you click away, I wanted to say a few things real quick. As you may have gathered, this was a new and very different video for me, and I've never done anything like this on Real World Motorsport before. Michael Schumacher was my hero when I was growing up in the 1990s, and this story is one I feel sums up what made him and Ferrari so great back then. I've wanted to make a video on this for a long time, and I hope you all enjoyed listening to this story. If you did like this kind of video, let me know. I'd like to do more of these, and if there are any stories you'd like me to cover, let me know in the comments below. You can also subscribe if you want to see more of this in the future. Thanks for watching, see you soon.